In my previous video, I mentioned that my favorite Peanuts character, aside from Snoopy, is Peppermint Patty. Since she was introduced in 1966, she's been a unique entry into the Peanuts canon, and aside from Charlie Brown, she seems to be the most relatable character for a lot of people. Early on, it was established that Peppermint Patty is not the brightest character, nor the most academically adept. She is constantly shown always falling asleep and not doing well in school. Charles Schulz gained a lot of comedic mileage out of this, though thankfully not at her expense. We do see her struggle throughout the school year, and she really does try her best. Key to her time in school is a close relationship with Marcy, who sits behind her. Despite Marcy's best efforts, her intelligence does not seem to rub off on Peppermint Patty. As opposite in personality as they both are, they are a perfect pair, and Marcy does at least try to keep Peppermint Patty in check. One element that's not often brought up is her home life, which plays a major role in her tomboyish attitude, dress sense, and academic performance. Since she doesn't have a mother, whether because she passed away or left, Peppermint Patty has a close relationship with her father. Part of the reason she has a tendency to sleep through school is that she always waits for her father to return home late from work. The reason she always wears her famous sandals is also because her father bought them specifically for her, which makes one story arc in which the school implements a dress code and forces her to wear shoes actually quite heartbreaking. One of Peppermint Patty's defining traits is her frequent interest in boys, and oddly enough, Snoopy. Since she first met Snoopy, she saw him as the funny-looking kid with a big nose, and for some reason is completely oblivious to him being a dog. In Snoopy Come Home, she even goes on a date with Snoopy to the beach, and feels like she came on too strong and feels partly responsible for driving him away. She is also shown to have a crush on Charlie Brown, and actually feels self-conscious about herself upon finding out he is far more interested in the little redhead girl. As mentioned in my previous video, there was also a story arc in which Peppermint Patty went on a blind date with Pigpen, and developed a crush on him too. In the feature film Bon Voyage Charlie Brown and Don't Come Back, Peppermint Patty also thinks their new friend Pierre is infatuated with her, despite him and Marcy clearly having a thing. Of course, we all know that many years later she ended up with Marcy anyway, and they got happily married this year. Oh, that's not canon? Peppermint Patty was also the subject of some of the funniest story arcs in the comic strips. She actually lives in a nearby neighborhood with Franklin and Marcy, so they go to a different school than the other children. When the school crumbled down to the ground, Charlie Brown and the rest of the gang had to go to Peppermint Patty's school, and she and Chuck would sit together. This led to an hilarious exchange when they both shared the same desk, and Peppermint Patty's constant pestering of Charlie Brown led to them getting in trouble. This bit was so good, Schulz and Bill Melendez adapted it twice for animation. First, it was partly reenacted in Bon Voyage Charlie Brown when they take part in a foreign exchange program. Then again, in an episode of the Charlie Brown and Snoopy show that was exactly word for word, though I think the voices in Bon Voyage Charlie Brown are a little better.
Move over, Chuck. You're taking too much room. Sorry, ma'am. My desk partner here isn't very coordinated.
Don't breathe through your mouth, Chuck. Don't lick your fingers when you turn the pages, Chuck. And don't scrape your feet on the desk.
Will you stop criticizing me?
Another fine mess you've gotten me into, Chuck.
Peppermint Patty also had some funny story arcs with Snoopy. As stated before, she thought Snoopy was a boy for many years, until one arc in which she decides she no longer wants to go to school and would rather stay on top of Snoopy's doghouse. Chuck's guest house. In the end, it falls to pieces, much to Snoopy's annoyance, and Marcy finally reveals that Snoopy is a beagle, much to Peppermint Patty's endless confusion. Despite Peppermint Patty now having knowledge of Snoopy's species, she still takes advice from him to go to an obedience school because she wants to go to a cheap private school, and of course, hilarity ensues, even leading to a fight with the vicious cat next door. There's also a series of comics where Peppermint Patty tries to find some missing school gold stars and employs Snoopy to be her decoy, and Marcy meanwhile becomes confused at her best friend's sudden silence and dog-like tendencies. Even if she wasn't the brightest child in the neighborhood, she did outclass the other girls and even some of the boys on the sports field. One of the few times she voluntarily wore anything other than her sandals was when she joined a figure skating competition. Peppermint Patty even got her own song in its Flash Beetle Charlie Brown, in which she sings about her athletic abilities and tires the other children out. And yes, this entire special really was inspired by Charles Schulz being a big fan of Flashdance.
I run 5 miles every morning. I do 100 push-ups every day. I pedal every night, take a swim, take a hike. I'm in shape, I'm in shape, I'm in shape.
In conclusion, while Peppermint Patty may not get her name on the marquee like Charlie Brown, or gotten the most merchandising attention like Snoopy, she's more than proven to be a standout and has gotten some of the funniest comic story arcs in Peanuts history. And I certainly look forward to seeing how the team behind the Peanuts movie have written her. I get the feeling, like everything else in the film, they will have done her justice. See you next time.